are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. Remember, you can share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, and on Twitter, KUTV_Kenya. Every 5 years, Kenyans prepare to go for a general election to choose their desired representatives. Political temperatures are on the rising trajectory, with major players forming coalitions ahead of the polls. Here is the big question. Is Kenya ready? Tonight, we are joined by Shadrach T.J. Omondi, an advocate of the High Court, to help us tackle the question. Wakili,
yes.
Thank you so much for dedicating your time to be with us here tonight. Now you introduce yourself to our viewers. They get to know who Wakili is.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Omondi Shadrach, and it's my pleasure to be with you tonight.
All right. Now, right into our discussion of the night.
Yes.
Do you feel Kenya is ready to hold the 2022 general elections?
Kenyans are ready. Kenyans are yearning for that election. In fact, if you see the political undertones, the kind of activities, the campaigns, the movements, Kenyans are ready. But is the referee ready? Iebc is not ready. Iebc has never been ready and will never be ready. This is because Iebc that lacks that urgency in preparation. You see, now they are claiming they don't have enough money. They are claiming they cannot set their programs. They are blaming the BBI judgment that found that Iebc commission was not quorate to make decisions. So it's Iebc that is not ready, but Kenyans are yearning for elections.
Now, into the question of the night.
Yes.
Iebc.
Yes.
We've seen the chairman of the commission, Wafula Chebukati, insisting that the 2022 elections will be held on 9th August as stipulated in the constitution.
Yes.
But we also have other politicians insinuating that due to COVID-19 and other factors, the general elections should be postponed. In your opinion, should we go by what the constitution stipulates, or should we consider these factors that came along the way?
First of all, that question has two answers, and both answers are anchored in the Constitution. The first answer can be found historically from the elections that were supposed to happen in 2012. However, due to court's interpretation, the elections were held on 4th March 2013. Now, the question that we should ask ourselves is that what does the Constitution say about the election date? The Constitution provides that elections are supposed to be held on every second Tuesday after every 5th year. So the fact that elections were held on the 8th of August 2017, the next general elections goes without saying, supposed to be held on the 9th of August 2022. Now, on the second question as to whether elections can be postponed because of COVID, there are two schools of thought for that. The first one is that there has been advisory that has been given by the African Court on Human Rights and People's Rights that African countries, because of the issue of COVID, can postpone elections. However, that decision is not binding on Kenya, but because our constitution provides that because we are party to the African Union, then we can domesticate that law and apply it in Kenya. And how can we apply it? The Constitution also provides at Article 58 that a state of emergency can be declared. Now, the President can exercise that right under Article 132 by saying that because there's a national disaster. So the question is, as facts stand now, is Corona a national disaster in Kenya? So if the answer to that question is in the affirmative, then the President can declare a state of emergency. However, that state of emergency is only applicable subject to 14-day period.
Right.
In which case, if he wants to extend the same, which can only be extended not more than 2 months, then he has to seek approval of the National Assembly.
Right. Now, Wakili, anchoring on the Constitution,
Yes.
we've had debates from politicians and other stakeholders
Yes.
saying that by 9th of August,
Yes.
the term in office for the sitting president
Yes.
will not have elapsed.
Yes.
Is it anything to go by in order to postpone the elections by some days so that the current sitting president finishes his term in office?
Now, the election of the president is anchored under Article 136 of the Constitution. In my understanding, all elections are anchored on Article 101 of the Constitution. Article 101 provides as follows, that the election of the members of Parliament shall be held on the second Tuesday of every 5th year. So what does that mean? That means that all elections in Kenya, be it civic, that is the election for MCAs, be it the election of governors, which is provided under Article 180, be it the election of the president, which is under Article 136, they are all anchored on the life of Parliament. So if the Constitution provides that Parliament, the elections of member of Parliament that shall be held on the second Tuesday every 5th year, then that is the date for election. So we don't, when we're talking about the life of the term of president, we anchor it on the life of Parliament.
Right.
Yes.
Now let's touch something on the financing of the general elections.
Yes.
We have seen Iebc ask for 40.9 billion Kenyan shillings
Yes.
to finance the 2022 general elections, but so far they have been given 26 billion shillings.
Yes.
Now, don't you think this will jeopardize the efficiency of the commissions to conduct an election? And in a case that it jeopardizes the election process, who is to blame on this?
The question that we should ask ourselves is that if that is the amount that is required, what does it transcend to? Amount of money that is required for one voter to cast his ballot. In Rwanda, the approximate amount of money they use for election that a one voter will use is 100 shillings.
Right.
But in Kenya, it is more than 2,000 shillings. Now, Aden Duale said, and I want to paraphrase, that elections in Kenya are synonymous with backstabbing, with throwing people under the bus, with violence, with intimidation, with undue influence. That elections in Kenya have no moral integrity, that there is no honesty in Kenyan politics, and it is based on betrayal. Perhaps this is the question that Kenyans were trying to answer when they promulgated the new constitution. Why am I saying this? Because this cost is being caused by factors. Which factors, for instance? We have legislated laws, for example, that provide that in each and every polling station, we must have not more than 700 voters. Kenya today, as we speak, we have more than 60,000 polling stations. Each and every polling station must have at least 2 police officers. You can do the math. I'm not a mathematician. Secondly, look at the way we print our ballot papers, that our ballot papers must be printed in Dubai. And look at the number of security features that are provided in those ballot papers. So that is, I think that is what takes that price to that height. The other issue is on technology. Remember, in the last election, we had over 4.5 billion shillings spent on technology alone. So I think Iebc should explain where all this money goes, because after every election, Kenyans complain that elections are bungled. So they are the ones to blame for this high cost.
Now, talking of technology,
yes,
this brings us back to the 2017 elections. We saw controversies that were there with ODM claiming they had servers that were running parallel to what the commission had, and they said they were not having. The results were not tallying. Now, do you think the commission that we are having right now, is it transparent enough that Kenyans can believe the results that they will be, airing after the elections?
Now, our constitution provides what it calls principles of electoral system in Kenya, that the election is based on universal suffrage. Universal suffrage means one man, one vote. that you don't have a polling station where we have 300 registered, but when votes are collated and tabulated, the result is 600. Yeah. The other issue is that election should be simple. The other one is that election should be accurate, should be verifiable, and should be transparent. Now, if the highest court in the land says that IEBC should open servers, and then they fail to open the same servers, yet they had spent close to 5 billion Kenya shillings to procure the same technology. What does it say about technology? Because we would not wish to answer the question for ODM. ODM is a political party. We should only get results from IEBC. We should not get results from any political parties. In fact, it's only the IEBC chair that can declare election results. So if the chair can declare results which are not verifiable, results which are not transparent, then what do we say about our constitution? And what does it say about the commission? So changing the commissioners, because now we have new commissioners, it does not mean anything. In fact, some people have said that we have only changed the monkeys in the forest, but we have not changed the forest in the monkeys.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Wakili, well tackled. Going by the events of the past,
yes.
We saw what happened when the ECK chairman, the late Samuel Kivitu, yes, was asked who was the president. He said he was under pressure in declaring the winner for the 2007 polls. Could it be that there is a system in Kenya that determines whoever becomes the president of the land?
That is a question for politicians, but for lawyers, the only argument that I always have is, why do we call this commission independent? What is the obsession with the name independent? In Tanzania, for instance, they don't have such connotation. I don't think they have it in Uganda. Why do we need to have it as independent? Because of the mistrust. Now, if a chair of IEBC can claim that he is under pressure, declare results, then when questioned later says that from whatever happened, I'm not sure to know who the winner was,
yes,
that can only be called to be a charade, a facade that should not stand the test of time. And perhaps Kenya should need to look at this issue because, for example, if you go to US, in US, it is political players that determines the commission. So therefore, they cannot blame anybody for that. If you go to India, for instance, it is the president of India who appoints commissioners. It is that level of trust. Why can't we inculcate the same in our country?
Right.
Yes.
Now, in your own opinion, what can be done so that at least we are at par with what other countries are doing when it comes to the elections?
The first thing that we should do is on appointment of commissioners. We should change the provisions of law that deal with appointment. We should go back to what we had in 1997, the IPPG, where political players determine who becomes the chair. Secondly, we need to make our elections simple. Why can't we have ballot papers printed by the government printer? Yeah, that one will lower the cost. The other issue is that IEBC must instill that trust in Kenyans. I've always proposed that, for example, if we are doing nomination for presidential candidates, IEBC, because in Kenya we have something called mutual cooperation and working within the government, all the government entities that deal with ethics, deal with morals, deal with crimes, should be paraded, for instance, at KICC, so that we have a desk for EACC, we have a desk for quality assurance, we have a desk for Commission for Higher Education, we have a desk for KRA, and then we have another desk for EACC, DPP, and DCI, and then IEBC. So that by the time a presidential candidate walks from the desk of VSCC and gets to IEBC, we will not have a question that somebody had forged papers and is still a member of parliament.
Right.
Yes.
The nation is watching the recommendations that you're giving.
Yes.
I hope they will implement some of this so that at every election, the Kenyans are satisfied.
Yes.
Now, let's narrow down to politics. President Uhuru Kenyatta has not openly declared who will be succeeding him. in the top seat of the nation. Do you think this is anything to go by in whoever becomes the next president of the nation?
That is a tactical play, because remember, the first sitting president to declare a successor was Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, and he failed terribly in 2002. And perhaps that is why Kibaki did not declare anybody openly in 2013. So maybe it's a game of chess where you keep your cards just below the table, and then you unleash them at the right time. So I think Uhuru is playing to that card.
Right. Now, we've seen in the recent past, about 2 days ago, Iebc chairman Wafula Chebukati, he's saying that they'll be rolling out nationwide voter registration that is targeting about 7 million new voters. What does it take for one to amass these numbers, considering that we are now having a totally different generation, a generation that has never voted, a generation that is engrossed in technology and stuff? What do you think it takes for one to amass these numbers behind them?
Now, before I deal with the politics of the numbers, look at the knee-jerk reaction that IEBC is having. The Constitution provides that IEBC should have continuous voter registration. That today, if somebody has hit the age of 18 and he has acquired ID, he should automatically, as a matter of principle, be a voter. And how should IBC do this? For instance, they should have their tellers at each and every Huduma center, because we have Huduma centers across the country. They should have a teller at each and every Huduma center, that when you get your ID and you feel like you should be a registered voter, then you get registered. Yeah. So what is this that they are calling mass voter registration? This is what we call knee-jerk reaction. Now, on the question of who can capture these numbers, the last time I was here, I told you that the race is between His Excellency William Kipchirchir Samoei Arap Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga.
Right.
Now, whomever plays to that card, the youth card, the hope card, the jobs card, the digital, the digital age card, that is the person that will carry the youth.
Right.
Yes.
Now, based on what we just said, the youth card and everything.
Yes.
Right now, who do you think is playing to the tune of the factors you just mentioned?
All of the candidates. Now, look at, for example, William Ruto talking about bottoms up. He's talking about Mama Mboga. He's talking about the young man without jobs. He's talking about issues that he wants to roll out programs that will create jobs for the youth. Even Raila Odinga, you could see today he had a meeting at Safari Park. The first people that were addressing them, they were all youth. And what were they saying? They were saying, for instance, we want to have a digital economy. They were saying that they want to have Wi-Fi across counties. They want to have resource centers. They want to have safe spaces. They want to have at least 4 ministers who are youth, pure youth. They wanted to have 4. Because they were saying that the youth have the energy, the zeal, the venturesomeness, and the verve to do the job.
Right.
Yes. So now, all the candidates, they are speaking to that youth card.
So we should, all of them, we should give them a listening ear.
We should listen to them.
Right.
Yes.
Now, as we wind up, Wakili, in about 2 minutes,
yes,
what could be your final remarks to the populace, even as we are headed to the next general elections?
Now, this is what I would wish to tell Kenyans, that elections come and elections go. You don't need to lose a soul in these elections. Finally, bad leaders are elected by good citizens who don't vote.
That's it?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wakili, for dedicating your time to be with us.
Asante.
We hope to have you here again and again. Right, for another discussion.
Asante.
Now, that has been a discussion with the High Court Advocate, Shadrach T.J. Omondi. We hope to have him again here and again so that we discuss and shape the country as even as we are headed to the next general elections. We shall be taking a very short break. In a moment, we'll be coming back with more news.